Hello and welcome. My name is Catherine Pittman, and this is my senior project. To begin with, this is my introduction. The picture is from Christmas time, a story time that I helped another librarian out with, and that's me sitting on the floor with the kids, which is what I love doing best, just hanging out with the kids and walking through a story with them several times as much as they choose. So for my introduction, I decided to focus on my journey to becoming a librarian. I started out working at the high school as a library aide. It was just a class that you could take, but I really enjoyed it. And the librarians there began to realize that I was willing to do whatever they wanted me to do. And so they had a lot of fun giving me a bunch of different projects, and I had fun doing it. I moved on to college. I went to Corbin University, where I studied English and history. It took me a while to get a job at the library there, but once I did, once there was an opening, um, the librarians really enjoyed me there as well. I was one of the only students that was heading towards being a librarian, so they started giving me a bunch of different projects, like a weeding project and just processing books and whatnot. Any projects that they can think of, they were happy to hand over to me, and I was happy to take. Once I graduated from Corbin, unfortunately, I couldn't work there anymore, but luckily for me, an Emporia alumni decided to take me on. She works for the Jefferson Public Library. It's a two-person run library, and she took me on to be her assistant, which is where I work now. It is a wonderful library, very small, so it really influenced how I viewed a lot of my classes, just realizing what I can do in this library and what is my library is definitely way too small to do. All right, so moving on to my project outcomes. Was debating which ones I wanted to show today, but I decided to stick with the ones that I would describe as my proudest moments. So you can go through these on your own time. They're all the project outcomes and a document supporting it. I'm going to go to technological knowledge and skills. For this project outcome, I chose a web tutorial that I created. It was something I had never done before. I never made a video, never really done anything like that, but it was so easy and it was really fun. I was even able to get it where, hard of hearing people can read it instead of listening to it. That took a while, actually quite a lot of while, but it was really worth it. So I did a web tutorial on the resources available at the Salem Public Library, which is a bigger neighboring library, and they actually have resources. And it worked really well. I was able to publish it to YouTube, and so far 27 people have viewed it, which means more than just my professor has seen it, which is pretty cool. I realized that I can do this for my library for other stuff, like showing people how to use the online library catalog, or even just expanding outside of that, giving lectures on how to cite resources well and how to evaluate resources. So I just discovered that, I could do this and I can do more too. I can learn new technologies. All right, so moving on to continuing education. I was really debating which resource I wanted to use for this. To prove that I am going to be a lifelong learner. In all honesty, my plan for being a lifelong learner has nothing to do with Emporia. My community has a community college called Chemeketa, and they offer classes for the public at a really cheap price, and they looked so cool. I'm pretty much going to be a student for the rest of my life, taking all the classes that they offer for $100. They have like sewing classes, Spanish, which I really need to learn, sign language, even just stuff like Microsoft in the Office place. I know how to use Microsoft, but there's stuff that I might miss that this class can teach me. And so I plan on doing that. But as far as documents to prove this, I chose a Pathfinder. Pathfinder is like a flyer that librarians create to hand out to patrons to kind of preempt their questions. I chose to do a Pathfinder on diabetes because my uncle had just been diagnosed. So this Pathfinder describes a basic information on diabetes, food that is able to be ate and what's not allowed. And then on the back, it showed a list of books that are available at the library, recommended websites, classes that they can attend, and just more information on how the library can help them. The cool thing about making Pathfinders is I learned a lot about diabetes through that. And now I know if somebody comes and asks me about diabetes, I know how to help them better. So I plan on doing a lot more Pathfinders in the future because the more I learn, the more I can help my patrons. Oops. All right, so one last on program outcomes is the administration and management. This one I am really, really excited about. So what I had to do is down here, you'll see it. It was a presentation that we were making, kind of a mock presentation to the board of directors, showing what's going on in the early reader section of the library. I listed a bunch of just made up ideas, doing a story time at night so that parents who are working can come to the library and share story time with their kids. Introducing a little boy to reading because he's one of those kids who says, I hate reading, but I introduced him to reading through books about video games or books based off of video games, which is really cool. But the most important part of this was my last idea that I presented about getting the information about the library into a pregnancy crisis center. This was just a random idea that I thought about, and I presented it in this presentation. But then once I had turned in this assignment, I decided, well, what if I could really make this happen? So my library is too small for this, but I went to the Salem Public Library and made sure they were okay with it, and they were. So I kind of became their spokesperson and got their information into the Hope Pregnancy Crisis Center, which is really, really cool. It worked out. I was able to create a flyer, and which took a while to get it approved by everybody because I was going through so many different resources. But I got it approved, and it is now in the Hope Pregnancy Crisis Center. And so women who are about ready to have a kid and have no idea what's going on, know that the library is there for them, and they have resources, they have story time, they have books about pregnancy, different resources for the moms to use, which is pretty cool. So I decided to use this one for administration and management because it shows that I can take these ideas and really put them into action for my library. All right, so now over to professional values. It looks like I have enough time to actually show them more than one of these. So for service, being client-centered is very important to me. So almost all of my documents could support this, but I decided to choose program planning that I did for my 831 class, which was Resource and Services for Children. It's called STEM, as you'll see down here, so which is science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. I was working with a group, but I did create one of my own projects, which was all about water. It was designed to be out in the courtyard, and kids could do different things with water during this event, which is really cool. It was open and available to everyone, very client-centered because kids love to have fun. I want to make learning and reading fun. So we would have book displays on, water and all the different things relating to water, but it would give a chance for the kids to get hands-on and learn that way. So leadership. My document here is from my web design class. And this document is actually kind of a failure, but I decided to post this anyways. My group was making a website for a friend of a friend that I knew. And it turned out that it was a really difficult situation. He's a medical man and he wanted a website, but he didn't know how to describe what he does. So I spent most of my time trying to research into medicine to figure out how to describe what it is he does. And then once we had created the website, the man we were creating for it just dropped off communication, and I tried every single route possible to get into communication with him again, and tried for months. We ended up turning in our document without having his review of our website, but I still continued to try to get a hold of him. And after about 4 or 5 months, he finally emailed me back saying that he had had some extreme medical situations at that point. So that's why he didn't contact us back. But the point of adding this one was to show that I am determined. I did not stop trying to get contacted with him, even though the assignment was turned in. And also the effort that I put in to try to figure out how to describe what it is this man does without making him sound like a fraud or anything. All right. So lastly is integrity. The document I chose for this was the book challenge assignment from 832, which is information resources and services for young adults. What I really liked about this assignment, it was kind of a culmination of my my whole course throughout Emporia of learning about censorship and intellectual freedom. And I finally was able to decide where I stand on that, because I am a Christian and I do believe that we shouldn't be forcing books on other kids. So in this situation, um, Park and Eleanor was being forced on some kids, and the parents were upset about it. So this assignment, I really liked how I stated it and how I landed on being middle road, still supporting the parents and still supporting intellectual freedom and banning against censorship. So to wrap it up, under my works, I listed all the documents by their class. I listed them in order of what I took. So they're not in alphabetical order or in numerical order, which I know is a scandal for librarians. But you'll see all the documents listed. And some of the classes I did not end up using a document from that class, but I did still list one of the documents from there. So you'll notice under 880, which is the capstone class, the senior class, this is my ta-da, I am done. So I really hope you enjoyed my e-portfolio, and you're welcome to peruse my resume or contact me if you have any questions or comments. All right, thank you.